Right, let me just yell. Okay, I think that's recording. Yeah, it is. Powers of 2. Everything's powers of 2. 72 pixels per inch. Done. All right, so I'm making a, yeah, let's do 1024. So a 1024 by 1024. So that's a power of 2, 1024 by 1024. And that will give me a good bit of resolution, not that much. Now, the important thing is, this has to be pixels, not inches. If you make 1024 by 1024 inches, it is a gigantic document. You will crash the max. So 1024 by 1024 pixels. So this is important. This is your unit size. And then it's 72 pixels per inch. I don't even remember what the other options are. Oh yeah, don't do that. 72 pixels per inch. For some reason, we are using the metric system, the imperial system. So we're going to use 72 pixels per inch because that's just the way. Yeah, basically, they created TV screens first, so they got the first metric system. All right. Color mode, RGB. We are always using RGB if we're on screen. Screens always display using RGB color. That's because pixels have red, green, and blue, and they mix together to create white, and that's how you get the different colors. So we're always using RGB. The other option is CMYK. That is for printing. Again, you do not need to know that unless you are printing. Okay? CMYK is cyan, magenta, yellow, key, which is the 4 inks that you use. Yeah, key is black for printing. Don't need to care about that. You just do RGB. We're going to do 8-bit for now, so that's like how much information is stored. Just leave it at 8-bit. The background content, so that's like the background of your image when you create it. Do you want it to be white or whatever? Set it to transparent for me. Let's just do transparent. Transparent. It is on background contents. And we'll just make it transparent. So we have no background. Okay, if you don't have the options, that's fine.
No, you just don't have
Do you have it? Oh, some of the mics may have opposite scrolling directions. You can change that in the settings.
I don't have a scroll.
Do you have a mouse of your own? You plug in? I definitely would recommend if you're working on the Macs to like buy a €5 mouse. What?
Still reverse.
Yeah, you need to go settings to reverse the
don't color manage.
Okay, see the advanced options?
Yes.
Never touch them.
Never.
Never touch them. I don't know what they do. Don't open
What
them.
about don't color manage?
Too complicated.
Oh, sorry, they already are open. Yeah, don't color manage. Oh, this one, sorry. Pixel aspect ratio. It should, by default, if you change the pixels, it should already be on square pixels. It should. If it's not, make sure it's on square pixels. So everything's on square. So this is all setup stuff. Once you've done this once, hopefully we'll never have to do this again. And it should always open doing the same stuff. But just be aware of that, because sometimes if you, like if this is, what's the other option, rectangular or something? Oh yeah, the other stuff. So if you have it on the wrong setting, it'll look fine in Photoshop, and then you bring it in and it'll be super stretched or super squashed or whatever it is. So just, if you have all these settings fine, that should work completely fine in Unity as well. Okay, dokes? When you're done, just hit create, and it will create a blank document for you. All right, sweet. I will change to default. Can you show what is yours on original? Essentials. I'll go to essentials as well. Cool. Thank you. Okay, so everyone's Photoshop may look slightly different, but you should all have the same tools. It looks like you all are a different version from me. It looks slightly different. Doesn't matter. The tools are still the same. Photoshop updates all the time. The fucking UI changes all the time, so get used to it. Cool. So we have this checkerboard shape. Checkerboard in Photoshop means transparency. So if you see checkerboard, it means that there's nothing there. Okay. So that's how you know, none's showing. What we're going to do today is we're going to do a small little exercise. It's very, very simple. We are going to give me a celebrity. Okay, I don't even know. Is Tommy Hilfiger a person? No, we're not doing Jerry. It's every freaking year. No, I'm sick of Jerry. What? Okay, Tommy Hilfiger. We're gonna make a beautiful.
Jimmy Savile.
Yes.
All right, yeah, we're going. All right, so first thing to know, we need to find a good source, because if I have a low res picture, I can scale it up in Photoshop. I can make it bigger. I can never add detail. If I scale it up, it's always going to look blurrier, always. Because what Photoshop will try and do is it'll try and interpolate more pixels, but it never actually does it correctly. It does have a new thing called AI-driven interpolation that's super fancy. It's still in preview, and it does a really good job. But either way, you can never make more pixels usually. So having a really high resolution picture and squishing it smaller, grand. Having a small ass picture and stretching it, it's always going to look a little bit shittier, a little bit blurrier. Pretty much always. Okay. So I'm going to try and find a decent resolution size. I'm going to copy that. You can just right click, copy image, and I'm sorry, I'm yelling at your ear. Okay. And just in here, if you Command V, it should just paste in. Or right click and paste, it should just paste in. Pretty up? All G?
Oh my god.
Why is it controversial?
What's this? 600.
I like this.
600 by 400 is not R2.
What's it? No, that's what.
Oh, the image. So the thing is, I'm putting this on a canvas that is 1024 by 1024. I don't really care what the image resolution is because my canvas is 1024 by 1024. So when I export it, it's going to be 1024 by 1024. Okay, so when I put it in, there it shows it like this. Do you all have these little handles? These little squares around them? Or do you not? No one has it? 1 minute.
Not yet. I'm trying to find the exact same image.
It doesn't have to be the exact same one.
Okay, then I'm using this one.
I don't have a right.
Oh, you already have it. Okay. So when you paste it in, just hit the move tool. That's this one here. Move tool. Command V. So you are learning on Macs, unfortunately. Every time I say command something, it's the exact same shortcut in Windows. It's just Control instead of Command. So Command V is Control V. What? That's what I'm asking. Go to the move tool, the first tool. On the left, there's your toolbar. The move tool is the topmost tool. Neat, you don't have a machine. Oh shit. Is there no other machine? There's one there. The two of you are blocking the entire machine and hitting each other in the forehead.
You could just put it just for Unity where I just took down notes, writing down everything you say.
Yeah.
When do we do the house?
They're recorded.
This one.
Alright, so use the move tool. Let me know if those handles appear. Do they appear? No. Okay, grand. You may no, that's why I'm trying to find out what version you all are on. So on my version, you see the way I've got show transform controls? I have that little tick. If you see that, you can tick on that. And you'll see
I can tick on that.
Okay, if you can't, then you turn on the version. You need to be on the move tool though, which is the first tool.
Oh, you have the handles up there.
Yeah? Move tool, first tool.
What is this all for?
What size is your... So you made a huge canvas, you didn't do that. Alright, if you're using the move tool, this is the first tool we're going to use. That's the move tool, top left. If you hit show transform controls, it will show you transform controls. You can also turn it off. Move tool allows you if I click on the thing to move it around wherever I want to put it, it also allows me, if I hover over the transform controls, to click and drag, and it should scale. Now, oh, you're on the older version, are you? Can you show me if you scale there? If you click show transform controls? That one, show transform controls. And then try and scale it, like drag one of the, no, sorry. Drag one of the corners, please. Okay, it's good. Alright, cool. Alright, so just, there's a few weirdness. Can I get your attention, please? There's a few weird things with this. Number one, if I drag it from the corner, any corner, it will rescale it, but it will keep the aspect ratio. So it isn't gonna squish it. If I drag it from one of the side ones, it will. Oh no, it doesn't squash it. Depending on your version, it will squash it. My version doesn't.
I'm just wondering, I'm trying to command them to do it.
Command Z. Have you hit enter to apply the transform yet? Okay. If you need to squash it, you hold shift and then you can squash. If you hold shift. Now most of the time you won't want to do that. If you want to undo something, it is command Z.
Except only from the last thing.
No. Sergey, that's wrong. The new version, does it only do that? So yeah, the old version. So there's command shift Z. Oh, this is really annoying. So basically, in the last version, Photoshop changed from command Z to you can just keep command Z going all the way back. It used to be command shift Z goes all the way back, and command Z only goes one step. Now it's the opposite way. Command Z goes all the way back. Because, yeah, so Command Shift Z should. Nothing? Hit escape. Oh, you didn't apply it, so go back. Yeah, right. Okay, Trivia? OG, alright. So I'm going to scale Tommy so he fits on my screen. I'm going to put him down there. Alright, so when you hit enter, it will apply the transform changes. Enter will apply the change of the transform. You have stretched it. There you go. Yes. Okay, then. Like basically hold shift is just
Oh no, only ever use the corner. Never use the slider. What? The control. Maybe it'll shift my turn.
Alright, so one thing I definitely never want to see is I never want to see squashed images. If you bring an image in from somewhere else and squish it so it's not the right aspect ratio, it's super obvious to anyone who's done art for any period of time. So don't do that. That's like really common mistake to see in like student projects, that like you use a flower pot but it's like really fat and squashed and terrible. Just like keep it the same aspect ratio because then it'll look alright. So I've applied that. That is fine, that works. But you see there's a white background on Tommy Wiseau? I want that white background to go transparent, like the background that I have, because I want to put stuff behind it. And I may want to put stuff in front of it. So there's multiple ways I can do this. Some of them are easier than others. So one of the first ways is I can use, shortcut is E, or you can just click on the little eraser tool here. And you get an eraser. If you right click with the eraser tool anywhere on the canvas, it will show you a bunch of brushes that you can use. And there's like soft round, hard round. And as they show you what they look like basically. So if I click the soft round, double click that, and you can erase. With any of the painting tools, so like brush tools or eraser tools, whatever it is, up top, you'll see there's an opacity. Opacity is how strongly it applies. You will see if you have a tablet, you can use that little pen tool and that little circle pressure tool, and it basically gives you pressure sensitivity. So on a tablet, if I press lightly, it'll only do it like really lightly, and if I press it hard, it'll erase harder. And similarly with paint, it'll paint harder if I press harder. With a mouse, you don't get that. It's only binary input in or off, like on or off. So you don't get that. Tools for this are bracket tools. The bracket keys makes it bigger and smaller. So you can go bigger and smaller, and you can erase. Just erase it off.
What's the difference between the background eraser and the eraser?
Just use the eraser. If you don't see the eraser, click and hold on it and show the tool. What? That's great. Alright, so the problem with the eraser is this. So you see the way if I erase, you see that like I'm doing it way more than normal, but this happens, and that means when I bring it into Unity, Tommy Wiseau's head's going to be slightly transparent. So I don't want that. So I kind of want it to be a lot more accurate. I don't want to have like, I want to cut it out without kind of erasing bits off it. So I can use the eraser tool really carefully and go around it really carefully and do it that way, but there's easier ways. So I'm going to introduce you to a tool called the Magic Wand tool that is magic. Where is it? Okay, cool. It's up here. You can hit W, and if it doesn't show Magic Wand, just click and hold on the tool and select the Magic Wand. Depending on your version, it may look different from mine, but it's still W, Magic Wand. So what the Magic Wand does is it allows you to select an area of similar color. So if I select the white here, it should select all the areas that are white. But you see there's a problem? It's going into his hand here. You see that? Because that hand part is almost the same color as the white here. Okay, and that's where I need to adjust its like tolerance up the top. So the less tolerant it is, the more accurate the color has to be. So if I'm gonna undo this selection, Command D will deselect. So I'm going to make the tolerance lower and try again, and that's a lot better. You see the way I made the tolerance like 15, so it's less likely to spread to colors of different of similar. What? No, it's just it should do. You're not magic. Just Command D to get rid of it first. Then go back to magic.
Full fuzzy.
Yeah.
W. Click and hold it up. Alright, cool. If you manage to get a good selection, Command X will delete it, or delete will delete it. And then it's gone, and I can just keep doing that to get rid of all the areas. To zoom, by the way, it's Alt and scroll.
Damn it, Tommy.
So usually if you want to like get a really good deletion, you need to like use a combination of all the tools generally. There's another tool I want to show you, just the last one for cutting stuff out. Like this loads, but I just want to show you this one. And it is this tool. This is the Lasso tool. Hit L for lasso, or select it here. What a lasso tool allows me to do is I can just like use my mouse and drag a selection area, and it selects an area. Okie dokes. So I can manually go in and just like draw in this area and select it, like so. There's also, if I click and hold on it, most tools, if you click and hold on it, it gives you more options. There is a magnetic lasso tool, and the magnetic tool will try and find areas of high contrast. So you see the way like here it's really dark and really white, so it's very high contrast. If I go along it, it should snap. Let me just try. It should, there we go. It's snapping to the different areas there. I'm literally just dragging my mouse there and it snaps. And then I'll select this entire area. You need, and then Command X, Delta V. Alright, so I'm going to leave you to that to try and get rid of Tommy Wiseau's head. I love what I'm just creating. You probably don't need to do this part. Oh, okay. It's just like when you're doing it. So when you're doing it, you don't care about this part because you want to get rid of it. So you only want to find, you only want to do it here. And then basically you can just no worries. Command C? Command Shift C?
Yes.
Can I take it? Just hit the video.
I have the.
Oh, you just did loads of selection.
Well, he needs to select.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I did. I have to. Yeah. Oh, dual.
If you fuck up with the magnetic lasso, just hit escape. It'll get rid of it and you start again. Backspace will go back one step.
He looks like. When this young Tommy was everyone is everyone.
I did not.
What happened to it?
Probably. There you go.
What happened to it?
No one's. I'm a business guy that is missing one phone.
Alright, I don't know if y'all are reaching a problem. I have a problem here. Because like my magic wand tool, it's too close, like the finger and the background is too close to each other. So it's not selecting correctly, and the magnetic lasso doesn't select it either. So in this case, I have to manually do it. And by manually, I mean I can erase it, or I can use the lasso tool, the normal lasso tool. So L, shortcut for the lasso tool is L.
Thank you.
We doing more arms, are we? Yeah, we'll do more arms. Yeah? Okay, cool. Can I move on, or do you want to spend a couple more minutes on it? I'm fine with either way. Couple more minutes?
I want to spend forever on this.
Nobody has replying to me, so I'm going to move on. Couple more minutes.
Extend the sunglasses.
Just sunglasses.
With a lasso, right?
Probably best to use the polygon.
Polygon lasso.
So click and hold on it. See the polygon?
Yes, polygon lasso.
Yeah, you can select and draw little lines. Click once. Yeah, and it's like hard edges. Which are very nice.
I think it's 6
No, 0.
Alright.
Yes.
What? We haven't done this. You probably asked that.
How do I make it?
I can't say it. Wait, what? Oh, no. See me after that.
What's our number? I'm speechless.
This was on the space.
Yes.
Thank you.
Does that PC work?
My first question is two guys sign
Alright. In the future, can you?
They're saying
Someone else.
How do I get this stuff?
Like this one here.
He takes this stuff.
You're using it. Last round. What's last round?
I'm right behind you.
Give me a head count, please.
Egg count.
Okay, can you also?
Like this.
Can you also catch up on PC? Or Mafia.
Perfect. Sergio. Go ahead.
Perfect.
How many people aren't on PCs? You?
But that joke doesn't have that.
Why would they put me in this room?
One thing to use the Windows, the one just yeah.
Oh my god.
We have this lab 2.5. If I ever want to use room, I need to make sure no glass in it, and then it's not fixed. It's not that easy. Everything in here is like, if there's a reason, if there's Oh, okay. That definitely helps. No, it's older, but it's still working. There is years. So I know there is one.
I want to buy Photoshop.
Okay, can I move on, yeah? Alright, cool. There's only a couple other things that I'm going to do to Tommy. I'm going to leave beautiful Tommy Rizzo, because he is. But I'm going to, he looks kind of boring all by himself. And I think he needs like a cool ass backdrop. So I'm going to find like a background that works with, yeah, definitely explosions. Yes. So I'm going to copy that, and again, same thing, Command V. Now, there will be a problem. It's going to block our beautiful Tommy. So if anyone has not, if anyone's done Photoshop, you know exactly what's happening. But if you haven't, it's on, yeah, that's cool. You can move it so it's centered, and you notice that it's gone to a different layer above. Alright, so layers are one of the most important things in Photoshop. Layers that are below are behind other things. See that? So if I drag Tommy behind, he'll be behind the explosion. But if I drag the explosion behind, the explosion's behind Tommy. And this is where you'll see like there's loads of little bits that I've missed. And if I was doing this properly, I'd go in and fix all these little bits. Okay? Yes? Hide it for a while. Absolutely. So if you want to just hide a layer, just to hide it, see the little eye button here? Just hit that eye button and it'll hide it. It won't delete it, don't worry. It's still there, it's just hidden. And then back on. Alright. Now the other thing, there's loads of other things I can do with the tools I've already shown you. I've shown you selection and move. There's shitloads of stuff we can do. So, for example, I think Tommy needs another hand. So, I'm gonna select, remember, be careful on this. You will edit only the layer that you are selecting. If I'm selecting the Tommy layer, I'm editing the Tommy layer. If I'm selecting the explosion layer, anything I do will be on the explosion layer. So be very careful which layer you're working on. So I'm going to go to the Tommy layer. You can double click on the layer to rename it. So I'm going to call that Tommy. And on Tommy, I'm going to use a selection tool. And I'm going to give him a different arm. So I'm going to select this. No, I'm going to give him this hand. Cool. So I have that selected. With any selection, I can move the selection. So if I use the move tool, shortcut is V, by the way, I can select and move it. All right. But I can also copy it. And I can copy it by going, you right click on, oh no, sorry. No, I'm going to try and do like there's loads of shortcuts. It's Command J and it's Command Shift J. With the lasso tool, I can right click and I can do a bunch of stuff. So I can layer by a copy, layer by a cut. What layer by a cut means is it makes a new layer with only my selection. Layer by a copy will make a new layer with my selection. So let me do copy. And this layer here is just a hand. And I prove that to you by using the move tool to move it away. So it's a copy here. Oh shit. There we go. So it's a different hand. And I can put that behind. Why?
Oh my god.
There's also another shortcut for Alt and drag. Alt click and drag using the move tool. We'll also copy it. So I'm going to make little Tommy hand antlers, but this one's the wrong way around. It's the wrong way around. So there's two things I can do. I can either just like use the whole thing. No, rotate won't work because if I rotate it, it's like it's kind of funny as well. But it's let's say I want to flip it. All right, I'll go to edit and transform, and I'll do flip horizontal, and I'll flip it.
You get the
Cool. Which one?
It's fancy voiceover. Photoshop was incredible.
Tommy, you want to fight me, yeah? Was it too much Delta, isn't it? No, actually I can't. GDPR. Okay. So hopefully you can kind of see what we can do with this. Like I can now import, let's say, glasses, and I can give him glasses. I can import a hat and like put it out and give him a hat.
No, no. I have no idea. Again. Does he get on? Hey, friend.
Oh, it's going to add the.
Doesn't matter that. I know I'm using this one. There's a version I've been testing. This one I got against this one here.
Okay.
It's a different layout, but you can do all the same features and for free. It's a photo. You can get inspiration Photoshop for free. Photoshop.
Oh, CS2?
CS2.
It's not technically free? Like, as in, you're not supposed? I don't remember. There was some legal thing.
But it's not. Like, you can download it and you don't have to register.
Yeah. Yeah, you can say it to them, but like, I heard there was like a legal thing that it's not 100% free. But if it works, it works.
You have to press enter and then
What are you doing? He's creating parts. You want to do it?
I thought I created a
So did I. Clearly,
So did I. Look at this.
surprised by it. What? Sorry?
No, he says he's from the Netherlands.
Oh, you need
I feel like a reflection of classes.
Tommy is always an interesting person. Do you know anything about Tommy? Because nobody knows. Nobody knows
I feel like a
anything.
whole crowd.
Where did he get his money from? Where did he get his money from?
Command D. But you're in the phone, so all you need to do is.
Why did he come to my mom? Oh shit, sorry.
Do that one.
The evil
It is
brain.
class.
Yes, the brain of us. No, you're not lesbian.
Drop it and then change the.
You realize everything's being recorded now, yeah?
No shot in there there.
If you want a brand new layer without copying anything into it, it is down here. There's a button for new layer right here, or Command N is the shortcut for it. Command Shift N, sorry, Command Shift N.
So paste that in and then. So look, we're going like do a new layer.
Oh yeah. So you haven't selected anything. No, you have that selected, but you haven't selected the white areas. Completely delete. Select the layer here. Click on it and then delete.
Oh yeah.
Just delete the layer. There you go.
The internet. Well, who does it? If that was actual animal, I would definitely have it.
Oh. That's not awesome though, right? Like a spider. Okay, let me teach you a better way.
Wow.
Alright.
Spider. Oh my gosh.
Which was this one, was it?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Alright, so someone's trying to do a really complicated shape. So first of all, this is super low res, so it's not great.
But to me, it's a reflection of the classes. So we're going to change the opacity and put it in as classes.
Oh no, but anyway, the resolution is not great, which means I don't have a lot to lasso or do. Like if I try to magnetic, I'm not sure it'll work that well. It kind of does okay, but it's not great. So in these complicated situations, there's another tool you can use called the pen tool, and it works like this. So P for pen, and there's the pen tool here. P for pen, and then you can click And what you can do is you can draw a path like that. And if you click and drag, you can also make curves. You need to hold Alt to. It's called the pen tool. There's like a whole tutorial to use it because it is quite complex. Okay, let's just do real quick. So what I can do is when I have everything selected, I'm just going to do a crappy one here. Cool. It creates a path, and Command Enter will create a selection out of that path. Okay? And you can go to Select, Invert Selection, where is it? Inverse, and delete everything else. Video? So the pen tool, for like really fine detail and something like that, the pen tool is a lot more precise, but it takes a lot more work. Just FYI, that is there for you. Yeah, when you click and drag, it'll do the curve. If you just click, it'll do the
What the hell?
backspace to go back. Yeah. There you go.
Oh, my son's alive.
Sorry?
I think that's appropriating of the
Alt and scroll.
This is one of the ones.
Work here for 2 years and realized too.
Where's the layer with the foot? Love your I no longer need.
What was it that you could click on the background to just make it put away at automatically?
And that was
What reason?
it doesn't show if I want hover over it.
Well, like if you just press Control C,
Of course. Oh my god, I saw suddenly.
You need to select the inverse.
Oh my god, so we make it you grew
Yes.
Once again.
I'm going to make a selection.
like really small.
Command Enter.
Just and then click on the mouse up there, and then click show. Oh yeah, show transform control. And then drag over the corners until it'll be the size that you
You can just click on it. Command D to deselect. Wait, what? I do not know why. Oh, the most important thing, everyone, Command S, save your shit right now. Someone's computer is webcast. Just save it somewhere. Save it in your local drive. You have your own like student drive. I'm sure someone told you before. Make sure you save it in there, otherwise it gets wiped. So you'll see whatever it is, save it in there.
That is icon.
So make sure you always save stuff, because if you lose it, you lose it. That's just what. That's correct. Okay.
What's it?
Alright, so one more tool. This one is fun. Let me go back to the Tommy layer. I'm going to be using the Tommy layer, and I'm going to use this thing called the clone tool, which is here. No, sorry. Here, by default, it says pattern stamp tool. It's S. But if I click and hold, I get the clone stamp tool. So the clone tool clones whatever I'm selecting. So if I do this, if I hit Alt, you see the way it's got like a little target? And if I click, it knows I'm cloning from that target.
Oh.
So it'll clone whatever I'm selecting somewhere else. Okay?
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Disgusting.
Very interesting. Can you close that?
Yeah.
Oh, they're really determined, aren't
I figured it
Okay. You gotta define your first by holding. Yeah, Alt. So hold down Alt.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, click for one second.
It's pretty good as well, but it's just...
Yeah. So like,
like this.
yeah, hold Alt and click that.
Yeah.
And then
Let go on.
like Alt and wherever you want to put it.
It's not letting me do it.
Which menu?
I got the copy. I only did the clone thing. And I want to clone.
But that's not
Oh,
the,
yeah,
that's not the secondary.
You need to hit Alt first to select what you want to clone, and then clicking the clone.
Yeah, Alt click there. Alt click it once, and then move your mouse to the right. And now click, and then move in a circle.
I'll be high side.
There we go. Oh, it's got me.
No, just as the background, not as yours.
Wherever you want to yeah, so if you want to keep the legs low.
Forcing everyone to You ready for more Photoshop stuff, or do you want to chill for a bit more? Okay, chill for a bit. Chill or chill. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. It's fine. That's completely fine. Let me know when you're 5 months. Well, that's cool.
I'm not alone. Suffer in silence. Yeah, what?
What are you doing? That's amazing. Wait, did you replace his eyes with a mouth?
This is like
I want to just make like 2 different forms. So.
My favorite part is.
No one else has
The only way to improve.
What do you have, Nazi hats? I Nazi legged hats.
That's in the what, sorry?
What is it?
Come on, answer.
Real movie daddy.
How did you join last year?
Join later.
Why can't you squash them together? Why do you want to do that?
Oh, I see. Generally, I would say never squash layers because you want to keep them separate. But if you want to, would you want to do this alone?
No,
You can. I'm just wondering why. Okay, because you can clone to a different layer. You can clone all the layers below. Right? You go to clone. And then there is sample for layer. Click on that. You never really want to watch these.
She has a new doll.
Wait, why is
No, they can't.
Why is it 4K image?
Look what we did to his right hand.
What is this?
Oh, forgot to. It's like a
Yeah, I don't know why it's like oh, it's too Alan is updated on the computer. Well, at least you'll have an updated computer. At least it warns you.
Oh,
no, I didn't say.
What?
Everyone save, please.
He needed to make it safe.
Isn't this amazing?
What?
Isn't this amazing? I saved it.
Everyone save because it looks like the computer's being updated. I don't know when it works so often. Yeah. We're gonna do that later. So it's simple. It's like a thing called a blending layer. So we're gonna be working on blending layers.
He's exactly the same. Pretty easy. Unless I'm using someone else's.
Try edit first. Click edit up there.
Alright, so I'm just going to move on a little bit, like not a huge amount, it's a small other tool. These are the burn and dodge tools. So burn makes things darker, dodge lightens things. Why I might want to do that? See the way I've got like a little unicorn thing there? But it looks like it's just pasted on. It doesn't look like it actually belongs on the forehead. And the reason for that is the lack of something called ambient occlusion. Ambient occlusion happens when two things are like, you won't be able to see really, but like if you have, like just do that with your hands. And you see where your hands meet, there's a little type like dark line of shadow. You see that? So that is ambient occlusion. That's because like it goes in and then it's darker in there because light can't get in there. So we're going to simulate that using the burn and dodge tools. So on the layer that I have my unicorn horn, burn and dodge tools are here. Click on that, and there's a dodge and a burn. Dodge looks like a lollipop, and burn looks like a hand. Don't ask me why. Dodge will lighten. So if I go to the unicorn horn, wherever I paint, wherever I click, do you see the way it's lightening up? And if I do burn, I can burn down the bottom so it looks darker. Then I'll go to Tommy's head and do the same. And that way it looks like it blends in a lot more. Because otherwise it doesn't really look like it's, you know, it doesn't really look like it fits there.
What the fuck is the background? Is that Squidward? I always want
Very bad.
So dodge and burn. It's a quick way to add shadows.
Notoriously
You need to be selecting the right layer.
the one that
Covering up the marks on his forehead? Yes, it does.
I'm not pressing it.
The sponge takes away.
Oh my god, that's a nightmare. Reminds me of the Can I see what you have so far?
I love it.
The mouse is weird, I know. Whoa, several shades. The bottom of his nose is going. 3 arms, it's smoky quartz.
We had the time
All right. It's real quick, I think.
Really funny.
All right, another tool. This tool is called the Liquefy tool. The Liquefy tool allows you to liquefy stuff. So, that's cool. I won't do another tool after this. So that is on. Make sure you're selecting the right layer. Go to filter, filter, liquefy right here. And it will open up a new panel. Cool. That looks like this. So there's a few things you can do here. Number one, there's this like smudgy tool. So I can stretch stuff. And there is this like, I don't know why you'd want it, but it's a twirly tool. You can twirl stuff.
Why would you not want
Okay, I don't know. There is a pucker tool that will squish stuff smaller. So pucker will like, you generally need to be a bit bigger. The selection needs to be a bit bigger than the area you want to pucker. Or you can do a blow tool, and the blow tool does the opposite. So the blow tool. All right. And when you're done, you just hit OK, and it applies it.
It looks like his hands are from that weird
Oh yeah, the pale man. Yeah, puts the eyes in the hand and goes.
I hate that thing.
I had nightmares on that thing.
So did I.
I never had nightmares, just that one. It's like really. Oh, it is. You need to click and hold. So you just keep holding it, but not moving. It's just for a moment. Yeah.
I'll show you when it's ready.
For those people who are trying to like talk to me about getting your friends pictures and stuff and put them in and mess with them, right? I advise against it. But if you were gonna do it, you can. No, don't do it. It's not.
It's okay.
Oh no.
Oh no, wait.
No. No. What? I just want to search for face. Notebook. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to find a rando face, and there are some things. I'm just going to grab that. There are some things that a new Photoshop, I don't know if your version can do it, but it's pretty amazing what it can do. It uses AI technology, so let me just, well, not AI technology. Okay, so let me just put that over here. Filter, liquefy, and it is able to detect faces. So you see from here, it says face aware liquefy. It somehow knows where eyes are, so you can like increase left and right ones.
No, I don't like that.
Yeah, it's pretty creepy. And you can basically like control. Can I go higher than 100? Oh shit! Oh, I can. Oh no, only 100. But it is able to detect where they are, and you can like basically like tilt eyes and do stuff like that. It's quite creepy. Make it look what? I don't know if we can do that. No, I can do distance. Yeah. It looks like Lita.
Yeah.
It's very creepy.
Oh God, Bob Shift plastic surgery.
This is what you would look like when you have a plastic surgery.
Tell me, what do you see? She's on his brother. He has really good.
So yeah. Huh? Oh, sorry. It's quite good what it can do, actually. I'm very impressed with it. But anyway, yeah, it doesn't look edited though. Very creepy. So just like if you were going to do it, it's a liquefy tool, and if it knows the face, it already shows face where. I just don't know if you have it.
They never name it. What is it?
Liquefy, filter liquefy. Filter liquefy. You probably need to be selecting the right layer.
Oh God.
I know it'll detect it.
Yeah. No problem is.
There you go. Takes a while.
Or is that you there?
Yeah, it's got face aware. I just don't know. I don't know if it knows. Yeah, I don't know. You might try.
That's what we're really doing. From
Yeah, might not be. We're trying to map. Oh, there's a whole app called Facetune. There's all the
This is what they do with those memes when they change the picture. Like, oh, hang on. I can now make memes. I know. Thank you, bud.
literally the first thing. Oh, it's beautiful.
What? I'm sorry, what do you call what you made?
What?
What do you call what you made?
That's
That's a game? That's such a guilty
the teaching.
Yeah, what not to do?
Tool for teaching.
Oh my god, how dare you? Olivia's okay.
Oh, stop trying to be all best bullets.
Oh my god. Are you jealous?
What? Where can you find the thing? So you do the year tutor. Your year tutor is it's John. And if John comes to the chair.
Yeah.
You can go to like straight to the electric. Go to Carol. She's go to Hugh. Or by some Carol. So you'll
Oh. Yeah, you better watch out for this.
Who said Trudy's a role place? Is it? I've not been.
It's not nice there.
Trudy's bad at working.
Like, no, start comparing things to
Yes.
Okay, so a couple other things I want to show you just real quick, and then like I'll leave you alone. So one thing is blending modes, and blending modes are super useful in Photoshop. So what I want to do is I want to make Tommy like look like he's looking at the universe, but I don't. If I copy and paste it, it'll obviously just like go over everything. So that's not great. But there are things called blending tools. So it says normal here. So one of the things I can do is just reduce the opacity, and that works. But it's kind of messy. I can't really see everything, right? So there's a bunch of tools. If you click on normal, you can just like use your arrow keys and just go down through the different options, and there are loads. There are loads of like different options that you can use. I like the screen. Yeah, I'll do screen, and I'll put it behind. Cool. And screen especially is great for stuff like this. Screen will block out everything that's black and will only show stuff that's lighter than black. So copy image. So darker colors essentially will get blocked. Just dropped it in front, and I'll put that to screen. Cool. So you can see the way all the dark parts are hidden and all the light parts are all. Multiply is the opposite of that. So if I go and get, give me a thing. Give me something. A what? Prune. What prune?
Traffic lights.
Is that a game?
Alright, I'm going to use this one. So you see the way there's loads of white on the outside? So copy image, paste it in there. And I want to get rid of the white areas. I can also set it to a thing called multiply, but it does blend it a bit. So you see all the white areas are now completely, anything that's lighter now becomes more transparent. So I can kind of see through the lighter areas. The dark areas show up there. We will be using this later on. For example, for if I want to do a sketch, if I draw a sketch on a piece of paper and I want to bring it to Photoshop and then color it and stuff like that, I'll use multiply because only the dark areas will stay behind. Okay. And then the final thing is text. Text is T. So T, and you'll be able to just click anywhere and write text. No, really? And then you can change the justification, so center, left, and the fonts are here. And it uses the fonts that are installed in your system. So if you download a font and install it, it'll show up here. Oh, that's nice. Where was it?
think it needs a new font.
Where was the handwritten one? That looked kind of nice. This one. Now you can combine these blending layers with painting for really powerful stuff. So I'm going to make a brand new layer, and if I set this layer to something called overlay, whatever color I paint on that layer will kind of like transfer onto the layer below. So if I do overlay, and I'll use the brush tool. Brush. There we go. And by the way, brushes, you can install new brushes in Photoshop. It's really easy, just Google it. But if I paint on the brush tool with, let's say, pink, and paint there, it won't delete whatever's underneath it. It just kind of makes it, it just kind of overlays on top of it. And you can like obviously change the opacity so it's stronger or less. So you can kind of like make color casts over something. Say what?
Is there any good sources for that?
Yes. So there is the one that I use is Evident even, sorry. This fella has made like really good concept art brush packs. And you can just download, it comes in a thing called ABR. And in Photoshop, you just right click and you can go here and load the brush. It's like a tutorial of how to use it. So it's very easy. And then you'll get all these kind of cool brushes. So you can see that one looks like ink streaks. So that's just a brush that I have downloaded. All right. Most of the time, you only need like 2 or 3 different brushes, so you're fine. So, okay, I know I said that was the last thing, but I lied. This is the actual last thing. If you want to make a global adjustment, so if I want to change all the layers, instead of individual, let's say I want to make everything darker, right? Let's say. I could go to each single layer, and then I can go to, where is it? Like edit and hue saturation, image adjustments, hue saturation. So hue saturation, for example, if I drag the hue, you see the way the colors are changing?
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, so that's hue saturation, and then it's only affecting this layer. Then I hit OK. Saturation is higher saturation, lower saturation. So low saturation is no color. Cool. So those are like, they're in here, image, adjustments, and there's a bunch of adjustments. The only thing is those adjustments only affect the layer that I'm working on, which is fine depending on what I want. Sometimes I only want one layer to be adjusted. But let's say the whole picture, I'm like, all of it needs like more saturation. The whole thing, globally. So what I can do is something called an adjustment layer. So layer, new adjustment layer. Let me do that hue saturation again. And this will make, you can just name it whatever you want. Just hit OK. This will make a layer, you see the way it's above everything? And this will affect everything below it. So I can drag it down like here and it will only affect everything below it, okay? So what I can do here, when I select that layer, it gives me these settings so I can change the hue of everything and the saturation of everything. That's kind of cool. Oh geez. Yeah, it does. And once it's applied, that's grand. I can turn it off if I don't like it or on. And I can also drag it down so it only affects, see now it only affects the layers below it. Alright, so it's very powerful. And there are loads of other ones. So layer, new adjustment layer. Let's go to brightness contrast. And I can make it brighter and more contrasty. Cool. So those are adjustment layers, very useful. You've already hit enter. Go back to T2.
Men?
I love men. Real bugs.
Did you get really good at it? Yeah. It's been around for ages though. Stalin used to like erase people off his. Like seriously, people who if you took a photo with them and then like they fell out of favor, he'd get like teams of people to like erase the person in front of us. Yeah. There's loads of photos you don't know who is next to. Blur. It's like blur. Welcome. Alright, I just saw something that reminded me of something. So let's say I want this ball to like look like it's close to the camera and about to hit him. So you know the way when you see in cinemas, everything that's close is very blurry, or like if it's coming in, so you can blur stuff by going filter and blurs here, and Gaussian blur is probably the easiest, and you can just like control how blurry it is, so it looks like it's closer to the camera. And if I want to, I can also do a motion blur. Filter, blur, motion blur, and angle it so it's the same angle and distance. So it looks like it's like speeding, you know, it got caught with a shutter speed. I probably put a bit too much there. Yeah. So it's kind of like blurred into it. Filter blur.
You're just digesting them all.
Are you sure it was sure? Sure.
You can enjoy the picture. No, but the presentation is
You know what it is? But all like a jet layering his motion goes like really my head.
Do you like it? Yes. That's great. I would say most people don't like it.
Slowly, yeah. I have 20.
Yeah, it destroys my head. So I think most people don't like it. But I don't know why it's on my head. Some games have a way low. Call of Duty's quite edit, transform, flip, and horizontal.
I did pass the test. You're the dumb kid. Right. You can clear it.
Okay, so you should be finishing up. Like the rest of the time is here for you to mess around with this. I won't be showing you too much more. The last thing is you need to save it, obviously. So you saved it. When you save, you realize that it saves something called a PSD. That's a Photoshop file. .psd is a Photoshop file.
You can change the PNG or JPEG.
Okay. Don't discuss. Why PNG? Why JPEG? Why PNG and why JPEG?
JPEG is lower quality, used for memes. PNG is higher quality.
Not necessarily low quality, depends. Generally it is, yeah. Alright, so you have PSDs. PSDs contain your layers. So you can open up a PSD, you'll still have all your layers, you'll have all your adjustment stuff, everything will still be in there. You can flatten it into either a PNG or a JPEG. In game development, in my class, I don't want to see any JPEGs. Everything is PNGs, okay? PNGs are a better file format. JPEGs have like degradation over time, so they slowly lose quality. Every time it's saved, it's crazy. I didn't believe it, but apparently it's a thing. And PNGs also allow one other thing. Transparency. So yeah, if I have like a little picture with a transparent background, I can save it as a PNG and it'll go into Unity as a transparent background, which I need because otherwise, like if I draw a ball Let me show you. It makes more sense if I show you. So I'm going to hide all of this. You can group everything, by the way, like select everything, and Control G groups it. So I'm just going to make this little, like, this little ball. Oh, dang it. New layer. Okay, cool. So I've got this ball, and I want this ball to go into Unity with this transparent background. I'm going to save it as a PNG first. Save it to the desktop. PNG. Sure, fine. And then I'm going to save it as a JPEG. Nope. And JPEG is here. So let's see what happens. You can kind of see it here already. So you see the way, even on my desktop, the PNG has that transparency, so it's a circle, whereas the JPEG has that white background. So JPEGs do not contain transparency. They will always, anywhere that's transparent, it'll give you that little white background. PNGs will keep the transparency. It has an alpha. That's called the alpha channel. Whatever is transparent is an alpha channel. If anyone ever asks you what an alpha channel is, it is basically tells it what parts of it to be transparent. Okay, notes? Cool? Alright, so PNGs always. If you always save as PNGs, you will never have this problem. So just always save as PNGs. Cool?
Okay.
There is only like one exception. And that exception is if you have a gigantic image, which you really shouldn't have anyway. But some games do. Some games have like a really beautiful background image that's gorgeous, that's been painted by someone, it took them like 3 weeks, and that needs to go in the game. As a PNG, sometimes it's too big. So JPEGs are always generally smaller file sizes. That's an exception. But most of the time, you're always saving it as a PNG. Coolio?